Hey, Neil McDonnell here. Sorry about that. I'm trying to catch up on my videos for 𝗟𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃, and this is my journey to $1 million as a government contracting business. We're going to get started in just a second. I'm going to talk about capability statement today, but just in case you're new to this video, I started a company called 𝗟𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, where I can show you going from January 1st to December 31st, 2025, how to build a government contracting small business, making $1 million in annual recurring revenue. So that's my goal in this journey that I'm going along. I do all sorts of videos where I teach you the how, the what, and the how of government contracting. In here, this is really my journey. And so if you haven't watched it from the beginning, I highly recommend you go back because it all starts making sense and you're able to track on it. I will tell you, though, that I've done this before, 2 different government contracting businesses. And since 2018, I've been teaching small businesses how to have success. And that government contracting is not a secret, it's just a process. When we follow that process, we get to the goals that we're looking for. And so in this particular case, I'm really trying to show you how to get to, how to knock all the stuff out. I'm only doing this about an hour a day, and I think that's a really aggressive or over optimistic amount of time I can spend on this. But I'm into I think today is day 27 that I'm recording. So the video in YouTube will be day 27, but today is actually February 10th because I'm way behind schedule. So I'm trying to catch up with a bunch of videos. I do want 365 videos, but I'll be doing sales in the next, let's call it 2 weeks at most. So by the second month of this journey, I'm going to start doing sales. You'll see this, and I'll spend most of my time selling, and that's where you really see me getting out there. So yesterday I talked about SAM. Today I want to talk about capability statement. If you've watched previous videos, you've seen me get to a certain stage. Now I have finished my first draft. And when I call it first draft, it's done. If I want to change it later, I can come back. But basically, it's good enough for me to be able to use going out and showing somebody. I do want to tell you that a capability statement's only job, it's a marketing asset. Its only purpose is to help me get a meeting. That's it. It's not to inform or do any of these other crazy things. I just want to give it to somebody, and very quickly, 6 seconds or less, I want them to say, yeah, let's meet. No, I don't want to meet you. Or, hey, talk to Sally. She might be interested instead, right? That's all I want, is as fast as I can. I like to describe it as in sales, it's dirt, no, or gold, yes. And so as fast as possible, if I pick up a handful, I want to know, is it dirt or gold? And when I hand them my capability statement, they're going to be able to do that. They're going to go, no, it's not me. That's totally cool. Or they're going to say yes. And if you don't know this, in sales, you basically are going to get 84 no's for every 100. Every 100 times you hand your capability statement out, 84 are going to be no. And really, that's not even totally true, because you can hand it out 100 times, but half of them won't even look at it or talk to you or get back to you because they didn't see it. So it's not even technically a no. So the 84% that I'm talking about, that's 84% of the people who look at it are going to say no. That's totally cool. When you know that, then you're just driving to an amount of activity that will lead you to the yeses. I only need a couple of yeses to start getting towards that $1 million, right? All right, so I want to share my screen, and on here, I'm just going to walk you through what I did. I don't want to spend a lot of time teaching. I just want to tell you why I did what I did on certain things. So I think I'm sharing my capability statement. Let me just make sure really quick. Come on. Good. Okay, and that's perfect. So let me come back here. I'm going to hide this thing for me. All right, so this is my capability statement. This is what I chose to do. This is the framework that I teach all the time. A very simple capability statement. It's in a Z format that begins with the 𝗟𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃 logo, comes all the way across to the right, and then down from core competencies to experience is the down part of this Z, and then differentiators. And that allows somebody to really quickly see what's going on. If you don't know this, all of the content on here is 14-point font or bigger. And that's really important. You want to make it easy for the other person to read. Excuse me. Also, if it's big like this, it forces you to have to be able to communicate less words. Now that I said that, though, this guy looks smaller. Okay, this is 14, and these are 14. So here, I just got this spaced out a little easier. So let me just tell you some of the things I did since the last time I did the capability statement. So coming across, I got my logo, nothing fancy. I moved the capability statement in that center text over. I still don't have my UEI and cage code, but that's totally cool. I literally am going to send this to people I want to meet with. and just leave it like this. And I don't really care. I want to get started. And so anyway, so that's good enough. And when I finally get my cage code, I'll do that. And then I had all this white space. So I was like, let me throw a logo up here. I'm trying to build a company that basically my core competency is LinkedIn. Let me do what I do on LinkedIn for your benefit type thing, right? And then over here, I created an SBA logo. It is their standard logo, but they don't have one just for small businesses. They have one for women-owned or HubZone, et cetera. I'm like, oh, well. So I just took out, and let me zoom in. Let me go in so you can see this already. I went in and I just took this, and actually now that I can see it's a little low, I'm going to move this up a teeny bit like that. Okay. Oh, I know why I moved it low, because of that little white thing. I didn't want to spend time fixing it, so I'll just leave it there and it's low. But I just created my own little logo. Somebody might come along from the SBA, but they got bigger fish to fry. All I'm trying to say is that I'm an SBA small business according to their size standards. All right, so I don't know if you tracked the last time, but I had this information here. And in here, it was just by about, so it's a good about section. And then let me back up. Then I had core competencies. And so if you'll notice this, my core competencies, I want that word. I want a buyer to look at it and go, oh, that's what they do. But I just picked 3 things, right? Federal industrial-based growth. And by the way, my words are not meant to mean anything to anybody but the buyer who goes, oh, that's what I'm looking for, right? I want people to go, I don't know what that is. That's not me. It's like, oh, that's cool. Let me move on. And so federal industrial-based growth, people will know what that is, who I want to reach. And generally, you can think about like starting with the small business professional offices within agencies. So federal industrial-based growth, LinkedIn following, and LinkedIn industry engagement. So I'm trying to go with those 3 things. And actually, now that I just see this, for flow down, I don't know, I might leave it like that. But I was thinking for flow down, I could change this so it kind of flows down, but I don't really need to worry about that. And then in each one of these, you can see where I'm like, okay, small business outreach, increase small business visibility to buyer, expand small business participation. And that's what I'm trying to reach the contracting shop and the small business shop in an agency and say, that's what I can do for you. LinkedIn following, right? I can increase your LinkedIn following through newsletters, content creation, and how to do business series. Actually, now that I see that, I might put a quote. Let me just see if a quote will be fine. How to do business. So it calls it out a little differently. And then LinkedIn industry engagement. It's basically all the same thing. I'm just separating it up. But here, I'll do weekly LinkedIn lives, create that newsletter for you, or networking event monthly. And then I'll do these mini industry days. And what I want is for them to go, what the heck's a mini industry day? Well, funny you should ask. Let me tell you. One thing I said, and let me pause here on the sharing for 1 second. Actually, if I come back here, I could do probably this for 1 second. So one thing I said is that I was going to try to be in the blind as much as possible. But the reality is I don't have to be that much in the blind, because I'm going to go I'm going to go team up with small businesses, probably 8A firms, frankly, to start. But I'm going to team up with small businesses and have them use my capability statement here and us team together. And so I can't back completely out of this. If you're starting a government contracting business, you should have some past performance experience, something. And so I just put some of the ones that I had in here. So for example, let me go back to sharing. Where am I here? For example, what I put, and let me zoom in really quick so you can see this. I put in a couple of things over here on the past performance, right? Hosting the largest GovCon newsletter in the federal market. That's me, right? You could do something like this, is go find somebody who's got a lot more expertise than you and go, hey, do you want to come together and build a business, or we start moving forward? But if you're going to sell something like, let's say, LinkedIn services, go find somebody who's doing that. If you're going to sell, acquisition support or something, find somebody who's got similar experience and create kind of a joint capability statement. That's totally fine. This is a market research tool. What I'm trying to do is get in the door. So then I put in things like I posted more than 1,000 pieces of content in 2024. This far exceeds my target buyer. So it should be able to do it. And then I was able to put in things like I got 100,000 views. Literally, I got it almost in a week or so, 2 weeks, for one LinkedIn US event from the Air Force, right? So I got these different events that I did. And then over on the differentiator, I was like 15 plus years of experience. I've been using it since 2007. And so I'm part of the 𝗟𝗂𝗃𝗃 team in the background, right? I'm not throwing my name out there, but I am throwing out some of the stats. And again, you could go find somebody like me who's got experience and you team up and you go after things. Largest GovCon newsletter, 500 plus LinkedIn live events, 50,000 GovCon followers. I want them to realize when they look at their own profile that they've got like 300 or 3,000. And I've got 10 times that or 20 times that number, right? And then the average view count I just had on LinkedIn alone is 5 million views in 2024. This is huge because if you're trying to do outreach to industry, federal buyer, then you want to be getting people viewing your content, which then leads to people following up on your call to actions or, hey, come attend my event or register in my vendor database as the government. That's what I put here is like these last two. We helped the NASA database and literally that was within a week, increased their thing by 20 or 35%. Same thing with the Army by 10%. And the last thing I have down here is you can see where I've got, I got to change my phone. I'll put my phone number there. Actually, I'll probably get, I'm probably going to get rid of this, be controversial and get rid of the phone number. So here, I'm going to get rid of the phone number. And it's like, look, if you want to reach me, it's email. I'm not here to give you my phone number. Yeah, so that's too on demand. You don't need to call me. And then increased Army, or excuse me, what I was trying to say is the NAICS codes. I went through and I found different NAICS codes. And actually, during that process of finding NAICS code, I found another PSC code, right? Product service code that is R410. I'm like, okay, let me add that in. If you remember in an earlier video, I had laid these out. So anyways, long story there. Now I've got a capability statement. It's good to go. One last thing I want to show you is if I come here to info, this is metadata. And I think I've talked to you before about the metadata. But if you come in, you see I've got capability statement here, right? I've got, if you can see that, it's kind of small, but the title says capability statement for 𝗟𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃, February 2025, LinkedIn engagement experts. And so it's this long title. I'm actually probably going to change it. So this thing up here, I'll change that file name so it matches the title. But the title and the subject are the same because inside of enterprise tools, they're different fields and I want to make sure they get populated. I did tags, a bunch of tags in here that are useful. I can add more if I want. And then I did one other thing I want to show you is here. This thing is a comment section. It's another field. This is called metadata. And I put this information in. Long story short, that piece that you just saw was this whole about section. I just dumped it in there because, again, metadata is different than what's on your page. And it comes up higher in results. And I figured I'd just throw it in there and give it more visibility. But I'm done. Now I'm going to make this into a PDF and this guy will be done. And I'll move on to my next task out there. So it's pretty exciting. I'll be able to finish that up and pick on the next task. And I got a lot of things. I think the next thing, because I'm still waiting on the company stuff, I think the next thing I'm going to do is to work on showing you how I look at my LinkedIn profile. In this case, I'll look at Nancy's and begin to make it look similar to that capability statement I started doing. So I'll work on that in the next videos. I'm still catching up. Thanks for being here on the journey. I will see you in the next episode.